Hello, Philadelphia Graveyard and History. Welcome to Top 10 at Laurel Hill East Cemetery. Laurel Hill East was founded in 1836 as the second rural cemetery after the original Mount Auburn in Boston, Massachusetts. It's located at 3822 Ridge Avenue in Philadelphia, PA, on 78 acres, and was designed by John Notman. The cemetery was added to the National Registry of Historic Places on October 28, 1977, and has many notable burials, including former mayors of the city, Revolutionary War and Civil War officers, businessmen, scientists, and noted Philadelphians. Laurel Hill is also the filming site for several movies, including the Rocky franchise, where Rocky visits the graves of wife Adrian Balboa in the 2006 movie Balboa, and her brother Paulie's Rocky's trainer and best friend in the 2005 movie Creed. The prop headstones are near the main gatehouse and the 2009 filming site of Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. Thank you in advance for watching. If you enjoy this video, please like, subscribe, share, and comment. Enjoy the video. Okay, we are here at our first grave, and that is of Charles Thomas. He was born on 29 November 1729 in Londonderry, Northern Ireland. He died on 16th of August 1824 at the age of 94 in Lower Merion, Montgomery County, PA. He is buried here in River Section, Circle Plot, Grave 1. Revolutionary War patriot, part of the Pennsylvania Sons of Liberty, and the Secretary of the Continental Congress. And he signed the Declaration of Independence as the only non-delegate. He served as Secretary of Continental Congress from 1774, the first Continental Congress, all the way through the Second Continental Congress and the Constitutional Convention up until 1789. He was the one who informed George Washington of that he was elected the first U.S. president. And along with William Barton, he designed the Great Seal of the United States in June of 1782. He was originally buried on his estate in Lower Merion and was moved here in 1838. That is Charles Thomson, Secretary of the Continental Congress. No, I apologize for any of the noise from the lawn crew, but as most know, a cemetery of this size takes an army to make it look as beautiful as they do, and they do a wonderful job. So, round of applause to the landscaping crew for a job well done. Thank you, guys. This place is one of the most beautiful cemeteries in the country, and they're part of the reason why. And it doesn't matter if they're cemetery employees or contracted landscape crew. They do a great job. Okay, on to our next person in this top 10. Now we are at the grave of Revolutionary War General Hugh Mercer. Hugh Mercer was born 17 January 1726 in Aberdeenshire, Scotland. He died on 12 January 1777, age 50, Princeton, Mercer County, New Jersey. He is buried here in Section G, Lot 121. He was originally buried in Christ Churchyard in Philadelphia. His remains were exhumed and reinterred here at Laurel Hill on 24 November 1840. Revolutionary War Continental Brigadier General. Studied medicine in Scotland and fought in the Battle of Culloden in Prince Charles Edward's army in 1746. Settled in America after the end of the Scottish conflict. Served as a captain in the Pennsylvania Regiment during the French and Indian War, and participated in General Braddock's unsuccessful 1755 expedition. He was promoted to lieutenant colonel and served under General Forbes' Fort Duquesne 1758 expedition. Promoted to colonel and placed in command of Fort Pitt. At the outbreak of the Revolutionary War, he was made a colonel of the 3rd Virginia Infantry and was commissioned Brigadier General in the Continental Army, named by George Washington to command the Flying Camp Mobile Militia Forces. Participated in all the 1776 battles in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Including the Battle of Trenton and Princeton, which he then fell at the Battle of Princeton. The inscription on his stone reads, General Hugh Mercer, a native of Scotland. He received a medal from the Corporation of Philadelphia for courage and conduct in the Indian settlement at Continental. And I will go around to the side panels. And his actual resting place is next to this monument, which is actually under this slab. the side it says, dedicated to the memory of General Hugh Mercer, who fell for the sacred cause of human liberty and American independence in the Battle of Princeton. He poured out his blood for a generous principle. You can pause the video here to read this panel. Alright, that is General Hugh Mercer. And we are on to our next notable grave. Okay, we are at the grave of Thomas McKean. Declaration of Independence signer, Continental Congressman, 2nd Governor of Pennsylvania, and 2nd Governor of the state of Delaware. Thomas McKean was born 19 March 1734, New London, Chester County, Pennsylvania. What was then a British colony. He died on 24 June 1817, age 83, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He is buried here, Section G, East Side, Plot 210-211. Declaration of Independence signer, Continental Congressman, 2nd Governor of PA, 2nd Governor of Delaware. Was admitted to the Court of Common Pleas attorneys at the age of 21. Soon after was admitted to the Delaware Colonial Bar and served as a clerk of the Delaware General Assembly. From 1758 to 1762, he resided in London, England, studying law and honing his courtroom skills. When he returned, he ran for and was elected to the Delaware Assembly, embarking on a political career that would not end until 9 years before his passing. He was appointed to the Stamp Act Congress in 1765, Continental Congress 1774, and would serve as a delegate until the war concluded in 1783. And he was one of Delaware's leading voters for severing ties with the British Crown. However, the other two members of the Delaware delegation, Caesar Rodney, was home ill, and the third, George Reed, opposed independence. Just before the vote was taken, Thomas McKean sent for Caesar Rodney, who rode all night from Delaware to Philadelphia just in time to break the Delaware deadlock and give the colony's vote for independence on July 4th. January of 1777, he was appointed Chief Justice of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, a position he would hold until 1799, thus holding positions in both Pennsylvania and Delaware, which at the time were joined for administrative purposes. In 1799, he resigned from his position as Pennsylvania Chief Justice to become the second governor of the state. He served as governor of Pennsylvania from 1800 to 1808. When he stepped down after his last term, December 20th, 1808, he left public service for good, having held numerous offices for 46 years. Passed away on June 24th, 1817. He was first interred in the family vault at First Presbyterian Church on Market Street. In December 1843, he was reinterred here at Laurel Hill Cemetery. And the marker on the crypt says, McKean Family Vault. Beneath this marble are the remains of Thomas McKean, one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, President of Congress in 1781, Chief Justice and Governor of the state of Pennsylvania. Born March 19, 1734, died June 24, 1817, and the descendants of his family, including his wife, Sarah. And that is Thomas McKean. Oh, there was also a street in South Philadelphia that runs parallel to Schneider, one block above, that is named McKean Street in his honor. Okay, now on to the next notable grave. We are at the grave of David Rittenhouse, astronomer, inventor. David Rittenhouse was born 8 April 1732, Germantown, Philadelphia, PA. Died on 26 June 1796, age 64, Philadelphia, PA. He is buried here in Section P, Lot 61 and 62. Astronomer, inventor, pioneer of science of astronomy. He built the first telescope in the United States. Induced crosshairs on telescope lenses and constructed Orre's model of planetary motion. During the American Revolution, he served on the Council of Safety and in the Pennsylvania Constitutional Convention. Served as the first director of the U.S. Mint from 1792 to 1795. In 1796, he worked on surveys and commissions that defined the boundaries of the states of Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia, New Jersey, and Massachusetts. He taught at the University of Pennsylvania from 1797 to 1782. Philadelphia's Rittenhouse Square is named for him. This is the grave of David Rittenhouse, astronomer and inventor. And we are now on to our next notable grave. Okay, we are at the next notable grave. And this is Isaac Hull, War of 1812 naval officer. He was born 9 March 1773, Darby, New Haven County, Connecticut. Died February 13th, February 1843, age 69, in Philadelphia, PA. He is buried here in Section G, Lot 241. It's a War of 1812 naval officer. He was the nephew of General William Hull. He began his United States Naval Service as a cabin boy in 1787. He was commissioned the 4th lieutenant on the USS Constitution in 1797 and won the distinction in the quasi-war with France, where he captured a French privateer. He commanded the USS Arks during the Barbary Wars and provided support when American troops captured Darnell on 27 April 1805. Promoted to captain and named commander of the USS Constitution in 1810. He commanded it during the War of 1812 and gained fame by evading a superior British naval squadron in an incredible 66-hour chase after the British encountered the Constitution off Egg Harbor, New Jersey. His most enduring naval action was the defeat by the Constitution of the British frigate HMS Grenier, which he destroyed in less than a half hour of combat. His post-war assignments were commander of Pacific Squadron, commandant of the Washington Navy Yard, and commander of the U.S. Mediterranean Squadron. His last words before dying were, "I strike my flag." And that is Isaac Hull. And on to our next notable grave. We are at our next notable grave. This is Sarah Josepha Hale, journalist and author. Sarah was born 24 October 1788 in Newport, Sullivan County, New Hampshire. She died on 30th April 1879, age 90, in Philadelphia, PA. She's buried here at Laurel Hill, Section X, Lot 61. Journalist, author, and most well known as the Godmother of Thanksgiving Day. This is the lady who ardently pushed President Abraham Lincoln to have this celebration be recognized as a national holiday. In the early 1800s, Thanksgiving Day was celebrated on different days throughout the nation, and she believed that unity was needed for all Americans to celebrate on the same day. During the Civil War in 1863, President Abraham Lincoln proclaimed the first National Day of Thanksgiving and Praise to be celebrated on the last Thursday of November. Each year, she continued to promote this celebration as a national holiday on this day. It was not until 78 years later that Congress passed a bill establishing that Thanksgiving Day would occur annually on the fourth Thursday of November. And on November 26, 1941, President Franklin D. Roosevelt signed the bill into law. She was married to lawyer David Hale and had five children. After her husband's sudden death from a stroke in 1822, her oldest child was only 7, and the baby was born 2 weeks after his death. She started a writing career, penning in 1823 The Genius of Oblivion and other original poems. In 1827, the novel Northwood, A Tale of New England, which was published in Boston. In 1830, she wrote Poems for Our Children, which included the poem Mary's Lamb, later to become widely known as the nursery rhyme, Mary Had a Little Lamb. She became a magazine editor for Goodley's Ladies' Book of Boston, which was the first magazine edited by a woman for women. When Goodley's Ladies' Book relocated to Philadelphia, she did too, staying with the magazine from 1837 to 1877, with a circulation of 150,000. Although she did not support suffrage, she highly promoted girls being educated and entering professions such as teaching and even medicine. She helped establish the Emma Willard School in Troy, New York, and financed Vassar College, and campaigned for women to join the institution's faculty. And that is Sarah Hale, the godmother of Thanksgiving. Now on to the next notable grave. We are at our next notable grave. This is Matthias William Baldwin, business magnate, inventor, abolitionist. Born 10 December 1795, Essex County, New Jersey. Died 7 September 1866, age 70, Philadelphia, PA. He is buried here in Lot K, Section K, lots 132 to 135. Businessman, inventor, abolitionist, the son of a carriage maker. He was interested in mechanical things. At 16, he worked in the jewelry business. He also started in bookbinding and cloth printing business. He built steam engines to supply powers to his shops and soon became expert at designing those engines. He married a distant cousin, Sarah C. Baldwin, in 1827. They had 3 children. In 1830, a local museum asked Baldwin to make a working model of the John Bull locomotive built in England, which he had recently been imported to the United States. Given his knowledge and success with steam engines, Baldwin later asked to build a full-size locomotive by the Philadelphia Germantown Norris Railroad. Old Ironsides was the result. Over time, he built more locomotives. Same ingenuity. One of his patents was for high-pressured steam engines, another for 6-wheel gear to stabilize locomotives as they turn curves. In 2005, he was posthumously inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame for his work with the steam locomotive. Baldwin also involved himself in social issues. He was one of the founders of the Franklin Institute, and it was his hope that young people could be encouraged to enter the mechanical arts. He also fought for the rights of African Americans to vote. His activity in the Abolitionist movement resulted in southern states boycotting his locomotives. He established a school for African children and gave 10% of his money to Christian missionary works. There is a Baldwin locomotive in the basement of the Franklin Institute. And this is Matthias Baldwin. And on to our next notable grave, which is just across the street. Our next notable grave is business magnate and social reformer Henry Disston. Henry has the largest single-family mausoleum in this cemetery. It is in a section that they call Millionaire's Row. Henry Disston, born 23 May 1819, Tewkesbury Borough, Gloucestershire, England. Death 16 March 1878, age 58, Philadelphia, PA. He is buried here in Bridge Section, lot 1, 2, 3, 4, also known as Millionaire's Row. Business magnate, social reformer, orphaned at 14, with a 16-year-old sister to support. He got a job as an apprentice saw maker. Learned to make saws and machines that produced them. He developed a tempered steel that ensured that his saws were flexible and strong. Operating out of a basement, Disston started his own business in 1840. Despite obstacles, he had a real success when he chose to build his factory in the Tacony section of Philadelphia. He not only saw himself as building a factory, but also a working class community in which workers could live in houses with open space and have a chance to own their own homes. He saw a responsibility to meet his workers' economic, social, and cultural needs. In 1872, construction began on the saw factory. By 1876, the workers' homes were built. Money to buy homes was available through a building and loan association established by Disston. He even gave cash advances to guarantee his employees could buy their home. He piped in fresh water from the Delaware to Tacony and built a school, Tacony Music Hall, and library containing 2,000 books. Disston's oldest son, Hamilton, was an integral part of it. Tacony even had its own scientific society. All these projects were supported by Henry Disston's money. And he is buried within this family mausoleum. And on to our next notable grave. Okay, we are here at our next notable grave. This is Robert Cornelius, photography pioneer. He was born 1 March 1809 in Philadelphia, PA. And he died on 10 August 1893, age 84, in Frankfort, Philadelphia County, PA. He's buried here in Laurel Hill East, Section J, Lot 63. Photography pioneer. A chemist and meteorologist, he became involved in the practice of photography in the 1830s. Through experiments with vapor, room-side, and silver plating, he was able to reduce considerably the exposure time needed to create a photograph. In October 1839, this allowed him to sit first successful self-portrait. Kids, this one's for you guys. All you tech crazy kids with selfies all day on TikTok and Instagram, this is the guy that gave it to you. He created the first selfie. This is the face that launched a billion selfies. He operated a photography studio in the 1840s, but later abandoned it for a more lucrative career in gaslighting industry. His first self-portrait was lost and obscure until it was found for the 1876 Centennial Exhibition in Philadelphia. So, the next time you go to take a selfie, think of Robert Cornelius. Now on to our last notable grave. This one is a bit of a surprise on how this guy wound up doing what he did, despite where he was from. We are here at our 10th and final notable grave in this video. This is Civil War Confederate Lieutenant General John Clifford Pemberton. Yes, you heard me correctly. Confederate. And how would a Confederate general wind up being buried in Philadelphia? And here is that interesting story. John C. Pemberton was born 10th August 1814 in Philadelphia, PA. Yes, he was buried here. And he died in 13 July 1881, age 66, Penn Hill, Montgomery County, PA. He is buried in Section 9, Lot 53. Civil War Confederate Lieutenant General. Born and raised in Philadelphia, he fought wholeheartedly for the Southern cause. Graduated from the United States Military Academy in 1837, placing 27 out of 50. Among his classmates were future Union generals John Sedgwick and Joseph Hooker, and future Confederate States generals Jubal Early and Braxton Bragg. Posted as a second lieutenant in the United States Artillery, he fought in the Seminole Wars in Florida and in the Mexican War, where his service in the Mexican War earned him brevets of Captain and Major, U.S. Army Regular. Promoted to Captain in 1850, he was part of the 1858 operations in Utah against Mormons, led by Albert Sidney Johnston. When the Civil War began, he opted to join the South, despite his northern birth. He had married a southern woman, Martha Thomson, here buried with him. First commissioned lieutenant colonel in the Confederate Army in April 1861. He was subsequently promoted to brigadier general in June of that year. After early service as a commander of the military department of South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida, he was promoted to major general in January 1862 and lieutenant general in October 1862. He was assigned to the defenses of Vicksburg, which soon became the last Confederate stronghold on the Mississippi. His command held out against Union siege directed by Major General Ulysses S. Grant, our 18th president, but was hampered by conflicting orders from superiors as well as a lack of support from other Confederate commanders in the area. On July 4th, 1836, General Pemberton surrendered Vicksburg, a move that gave the Union complete control of the Mississippi River and hastened the end of the Confederacy. He was vilified for his surrender, was accused of disloyalty due to his northern roots. After his exchange, he resigned as his lieutenant general commission and was appointed as a lieutenant colonel of artillery on the urging of Confederate President Jefferson Davis. He served faithfully in this reduced capacity until the end of the war. He lived for a time in Virginia, but eventually returned to the state of his birth, where he died and was buried. Questions of his loyalty to his chosen cause still linger to this day. However, his record of war service proves he never wavered in his devotion to his adopted South. We're just going to go in for a close-up of the military marker. Lieutenant General, Staff, Confederate States Army. And that is the end of our video. Thank you for watching. If you made it to the end, I wholeheartedly appreciate that you watched the whole video. If you would kindly give the video a like if you enjoyed it, that will help push it out to more viewers. And if you would like to, I also have a video of West Laurel Hill Cemetery Top 10, which was filmed almost 2 years ago or better. And it has 37,000 views. So hopefully this video will do just as well or close to it. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will leave you with a few images of the Rocky film props, gravestones that are at the side of the main gatehouse. Thank you for watching, and have a great day. So this is the filming location for Rocky Balboa 2006 and Creed 2015 films in the Rocky franchise. Those scenes were filmed in this area, right down in here. There was a tree in the movie that Rocky would put a chair up in the tree, and then when he would come, he would pull the chair down and sit in front of the graves of his wife in the Rocky Balboa movie, and later in the Creed movie in 2015, after his brother-in-law Paulie was buried next to her. Those graves, marker props, are located up front, and I will post a picture of them here. But if you come to Laurel Hill Cemetery in Philadelphia, go to the inside of the gatehouse, and then you would go all the way to the right end near the just past the bathrooms, and those grave markers are on the side of the gatehouse there. Thank you for watching.